Right. Just proved $10 million for them.
Amy. She responded.
He says it's really hot outside.
Oh, we got to sign stuff. I need to sign the walk away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the July meeting of the Randolph County Board of Commissioners. A couple of points to remember. We are meeting on the second Monday this month due to the week of the 4th and vacation schedules. And also, this is our first official meeting of our new fiscal year. We started July the 1st, and I'm passed our budget at the end of June, and that we'll be operating on for the next 12 months here in the county. Just sort of a little final comment on that process. I know that those of you who followed the process and were in most, if not all, of our meetings, there were several comments and notices made about the hold harmless funds that was not coming to the county to the tune of about close to $3.5 million. We'd been told that not to worry, that the funds would be coming. Well, if you followed the schedule of the General Assembly, the Senate has adjourned until November without a budget. So that issue won't even come up again till November. And if by chance it got into that budget, it's not likely that we would see the money till 2025-26 budget year. So just making that, and the point is that we don't spend what we don't have. And we sort of followed that, I think, not sort of, but we did follow that process in adopting a budget for 24-25. And say again, thanks to all of you who participated and helped make that possible. So hope you had a good July the 4th and in the nice cool weather that we had. But you're here, and we're glad, and thank you for that as we get started today with our meeting. At this time, I want to call on Bishop Michael Trogdon, who will do our invocation, and after that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. Please remove your caps and stand if you're able.
You bow your heads with me. So, Father, in Jesus' name, we are so grateful that you have extended to us another opportunity to come boldly before the throne of grace, to obtain mercy and to find grace to help us in this time of need. And God, we need you. Lord, you've laid out a plan in your word that will release healing to our nation. You said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land.
Amen.
God, as a believer, as a committed follower of Jesus Christ, I humble myself before you and in the presence of all that stand here. I pray and I cry out to you, forgive us of our sin. God, as Americans, we have profaned your name. Oftentimes we submit to a cultural Christianity that does not include a relationship with Jesus. Forgive us, God, for all that we have done to turn our backs on you. I bow in my heart to you, and I ask you, forgive us of our sins. Heal our land. God, we thank you for our commissioners. We honor you, Lord God, for the offices that they stand in. But tonight, God, we cry out to you. America needs God. And I pray, Father, in Jesus' name, that you will hear the heart cry of all of those who hear the urgency to repent. God, we honor you for this time, and we thank you that you're our Father. In Jesus' name, we honor you, sir, and we give you praise. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Michael. Very good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. As usual, when we start our meeting, if we have some special recognitions, we want to take care of that first. And first person tonight is Dana Nance, who's retiring from 22 years in social service. She also has been involved with our library. And I think Ross Holt is going to do the honors.
Dana Nance is retired on May 31st after 22 years with Randolph County, 20 of them as a social worker with the Department of Social Services, and the last 2 as a community navigator with the library. At DSS, Dana spent her career in child welfare in a number of positions that provided services to families and children in need. In her last position with the department, Dana was an adoption social worker. Heather Thompson, Dana's supervisor, says that Dana worked diligently to find forever homes for the children in her care, or in her caseload. She was especially successful in finding families for children with special needs who require a high level of specialized care, and for sibling sets. She worked tirelessly until these matches were identified and the adoptions finalized. In this part of her career, Dana completed 143 adoptions and was able to establish permanence for a number of children through other types of custody arrangements. Dana's warm disposition was appreciated by her team, her supervisor, and the agency. Dana says that one of her best moments as an adoption social worker was the case of a boy with a medical condition who was dependent on caretakers for all his daily living needs and activities, and who was prone to unknowingly hurting himself. To be able to match the boy with forever family was an incredibly rewarding for Dana. The boy is doing well and will be 16 years old next month. As a community navigator, Dana worked with her clients in life-changing ways until their needs were met. One of her clients wrote to us about how Dana helped her and her children with food and clothes. I felt cared for, the client says, and that feeling was worth so much in our lives and gave us so much hope. You, Dana, saved us in more ways than you know, mentally and physically. A client who Dana helped find housing says, Ms. Nance is a godsend. Because of the Navigator program, I am now living independently. Another client who Dana helped get approved for housing and Medicaid just recently called her compassionate and patient and understanding. Dana's retirement plans include caring for her dad, visiting Oak Island as much as possible, and best of all, welcoming her first grandchild in December.
Hey,
So Dana, congratulations. You can retire full in the knowledge that you've made a significant and permanent impact on the lives of people you've served, both through your work in DSS and as a pioneering community navigator. Chairman, Mr. President.
Dana, this is a small token of our appreciation to what you've done in this county. To read the bio and what's been said, that your best moments were helping that child find a family that would love and take care of him. That says everything about these folks and you who dedicated your life to seeing that somebody else had a better life. And we'll always be indebted to you and your partner for making the Navigator program from day one a success and the many needs that were met. And this is a small appreciation for what you've done for this county and our citizens. This is to Dana Nance in recognition of 22 years of service, July the 8th, 2024, by the Randolph County Board of Commissioners. God bless you. Enjoy your retirement. Dana? Are you fucked? The next person that we want to recognize at this time is Damon Brown, who has always been in Randolph County. He was with us. He left for a little while, but then we got him back to spend out the rest of his career. And he started June the 30th, 2024. He retired after 32 years of service, 17 of which were with the county and Child Support Services Director. There's a story there. Damon was a graduate of Eastern Randolph High School, went into the Navy, came back, got a degree in business administration at Randolph Community College, and began working with the county in 1991 as an income maintenance care worker in the Department of Social Services under the notorious Marion Smith. And at that time, the department was located pretty much here where we are right now. 1994, he was hired by the North Carolina Child Support Enforcement Agency, trained as a child support enforcement agent too. Then in 1997, he kept the role until July of 2003. Then he was elected as the supervisor in that department. So the state, he worked for a state agency, which became by law an agency of the state of the county of Randolph. And he was a supervisor with the state, then came to work in 2010 as a director of our child support services. And as Dana, he made it a success from day one. And I would say the same things about Damon that I would about Dana, and lots of other things he could have done with his time, his education, his efforts, but to serve in child support services and again to just work to make life better for people in this county with special needs. That's what I have come to know and understand about Randolph County, a caring people who wants to make life better for other people, and especially the most disadvantaged and the most in need among us. So, Damon, you're retiring way too early, but I hope early enough to enjoy your life on that motorcycle and do whatever you want to do. I understand you're going to start your own little business and continue to be a part of Randolph County as you have been all along. And God bless you. And if you'll come forward, we'll give you a clock. This is to Damon Brown in grateful appreciation in recognition of 17 years of service. That's a short version of 32. July the 8th, 2024, by the Randolph County Board of Commissioners. God bless you. Best of everything. Thanks for the legacy you leave with this county. And you're not going to be too far away. God bless you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
We're not going to stay for the meeting?
Okay, now it's time for a public comment period. I will ask Ben Morgan, our attorney, to read the rules.
Mr. Chairman, I can't top that. That's, the rules of procedure for the public comment period are, okay, got it.
All right.
I
Okay,
thought they changed the law.
so we have no public speakers from the floor. So the next item is our consent agenda that has been presented. I do want to make one note on item G. Former President of Randolph Community College, Robert Shackelford, has been added to that list. The motion could be made to approve as amended. Is there any one of the items that a commissioner would like to take out separately?
Mr. Chairman, if it, let me do that. I'd like to pull item H off and vote on that separately, please.
Okay, we will consider item H, which is the reappointment of James Gowdy and appointment of Chris Yao to the RCC Board of Trustees. We will take that out as a separate item. Is there a motion? Is there any other item that a commissioner would like to take out? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
All right. Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's approved. Item H is, again, the reappointment of James Gowdy. Appoint Chris Yao to the RCC Board of Trustees. I do want to make a comment here. It is indirectly affected by this item, but the General Assembly changed the appointment process for board members to community colleges in the state of North Carolina. Previously, the county had 4 seats, the governor had 4 seats, and the public schools had 4 seats. And in our case, that would be 2 from Asheboro, 2 from the county system. The General Assembly last year changed those appointments. The county keeps its 4. The appointments previously done by the governor are now appointed by the state senate. Our representative there is Senator Dave Craven. Those previously appointed by the schools is now appointed by the North Carolina House. In our case, that's Representative Brian Biggs and Neil Jackson. So they will be participating in these. These two appointments are part of the county's 4 seats on that board. So, I'll just say, is there a motion to reappoint James Gowdy and appoint Chris Yao? I'll make a further note. Chris Yao will fill out the remaining 2 years of our new manager, Zeb Holden, who was on that board and had to resign when we employed him as our county manager. So Chris Yao will serve out the remaining 2 years of Mr. Holden's term on that board. So I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we reappoint James Gowdy and appoint Chris Yao to the RCC Board of Trustees.
All right. Consent agenda doesn't require a second.
Second.
All right. Those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Let it be known that it passes 4-1. So that completes the consent agenda. And our new business item is a resolution recognizing and approving the Randolph County Official America 250 North Carolina Committee. And Cam Mills is from our Representative Hudson's office, is here to tell us a little bit about this. Cam?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Cam Mills. I work for Congressman Richard Hudson, and I'm also a resident of Randolph County. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the America 250 NC program, and I'd like to consider the Board of Commissioners to create a committee for that in Randolph County. 2026, America will commemorate 250 years since signing the Declaration of Independence and the development of a new country dedicated to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The heart of American 250 NC commemoration lies within the county committees, which I'm considering of you guys passing that resolution tonight. These committees are dedicated to planning and organizing events, projects, and initiatives at the county level. They serve as the local conduit to the statewide commemorative programming, amplifying the rich history of our state and local communities. They also seek to foster participation of a wide variety of local organizations and groups to participate in creating the America 250 NC events and resources. So as a private citizen, I came to Mr. Chairman here for you guys to consider creating that committee. I think it'd be very beneficial for our county and our communities, not only from an educational standpoint, but from recreational standpoint and altogether. I think it's very important that we realize what our country was made from, and 250 is a very big year, and I think we're all very lucky to be a part of that. So, Mr. Chairman, that is all I have to say, and I hope that you guys will consider forming that committee, and that's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Anybody have a question of Cam?
Well, we've been talking about it already,
Yeah.
so.
Great.
Cam, do you remember the 200th anniversary there?
I do not. I was born in 1999.
Just
Yes,
missed
sir.
it. Okay.
You rub it in, Cam.
That's
Just
right.
a little while ago. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But we do thank you for bringing that, Cam. I know we talked about it at the time. It's exciting. Zeb has been working with the board and I have some ideas on the committee, and we'll have that name shortly, and look forward
Fantastic.
to what it stands for.
Thank you,
The
Mr. Chairman.
seriousness of the issue. really.
Absolutely. Thank
So,
you,
Do I
Commissioners.
have a motion on, you have anything further, Kim?
No, sir.
All right. Is there a motion on the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt a resolution, Randolph County, recognizing and approving the Randolph County Official America 250 NC Committee.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, no. Passes unanimously. You'll hear from us.
Great. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Cam.
Thank you, Kim.
We won't let you down?
All right, next item is restricted funds for the handheld narcotics analyzer. Andre.
I do remember the 200 years. I remember my mom made us long dresses and bonnets to wear for that, and it was impressive. I just have to say, it was incredible. And I'm sure we'll do it upright this time as well. So the Randolph County Sheriff's Office is seeking to utilize $37,066 in law enforcement restricted funds to purchase a handheld narcotics analyzer for our office. The global drug crisis continues to escalate with increased trafficking of methamphetamines, heroin, and emerging threats like fentanyl and carfentanil impacting communities worldwide. Law enforcement officials require reliable tools to quickly identify suspected narcotics in the field, which is crucial for keeping these dangerous drugs and drug dealers off the street. We've also seen a lot of amalgamation of drugs, different combinations of drugs, which makes it difficult for us in the field to make charges at that time. The proposed handheld drug analyzer would greatly benefit our agency by enabling our officers to rapidly test and identify suspected narcotics during traffic stops, search warrant executions, and other law enforcement operations. This cutting-edge technology will significantly enhance our ability to remove illicit substances from circulation and prosecute drug-related crimes effectively. By investing in this critical equipment, the Sheriff's Office can strengthen our drug interdiction efforts and better protect our community from the devastating impacts of the ongoing drug epidemic. We believe this investment represents a prudent and necessary use of our law enforcement restricted funds. I will also say that we've been using a prototype of one of these drug analyzers for the past 2 years. Again, it's a prototype. It's not something that we can rely on. It was something that we have used in the field, and it has been incredibly beneficial, helping us identify substances as we encounter them, and also by decreasing the amount of times that our deputies have to handle those drugs. So especially with the combination of drugs that are being distributed in the county, this is just something we feel like we really just need to get on top of, and it's a great use for our funds. So we do ask that you approve the expenditure of restricted law enforcement funds for the items listed above, and approve the filing budget amendment in the general fund, which is the $37,066.
Okay, how many will use this device?
So it will be assigned to the Special Ops Division. Okay, so that's our criminal interdiction team, both interstate and urban, as well as our vice and narcotics team. However, we did have a significant seizure sometime like 3 to 4 weeks ago, which was 8 kilos, I'm sorry, I'm not great about drug measurements, but 8 kilos of cocaine. And so patrol did that stop. It was like in the middle of the night, maybe on a weekend, and they just called in Vice, and Vice brought the drug analyzer, and they all attacked it as a team because it was a significant seizure. And so, you know, having this, it's not like one team will have it, it will be utilized for the entire agency.
So I guess, answer part of it, you've been using a prototype for 2 years, so one's enough. I mean, that was my question, really, with all the activity going on.
We would love to have more than one, but we try to be selective about how much money we spend on different pieces of technology. If we buy it now, 2 or 3 years from now, we'll have something greater, better than this that we'll want to update, so we can make it work with this. Our team's willing to come out anytime. If you call our vice narcotics team and say we got what we suspect is 8 kilograms, they're going to like beat themselves up trying to get there as quickly as possible, because that's what we do. They're excited about it.
For y'all to know, she mentions law enforcement restricted funds. That's also known in our circle as drug money. It's monies that the sheriff's department gets to keep when they do these busts out on the interstate, cash. They get to keep 80%.
It's divided, it's equitable distribution. So we have a task force officer that helps with the drug enforcement agency. If they're helping on a case 3 counties away and a significant seizure is made, we actually get a portion of that. So any agency that's involved in a seizure will have an equitable share of what's seized.
The point is, we're buying this to track the people we got the money from.
Exactly.
That's the way it ought to be, so just want to make that clarification. Other questions?
I assume we've got the money in the fund, so. Been a while since
Yeah.
we've spent anything significant, I
We're
recall.
just priming the board right now.
Okay, okay.
We got plans.
You'll be back for more, okay.
Yeah. Do you have the number in mind, Will?
As far as how much is available, I think we've gotten the numbers for the past year. This is the appropriation of fund balance, which is money we've collected
Right.
from prior years.
I do believe that the balance on asset forfeiture is somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000. Is that correct, Katie? Yes.
Very good. What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I think it's a most appropriate use of funds, so I'll make the motion to approve the expenditure of restricted law enforcement funds and approve the associated budget amendment.
You have a second?
Second.
Further discussion, questions? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item C, the moment we've all waited for. This is our tax report for 23-24.
I feel like I'm doing this every 6 months instead of once a year. Okay, as required by the North Carolina General Statute 105-373, the tax collector is required to give an annual settlement report for the last fiscal year before being charged to collect the next year's levy. For the 2023, the overall collection percentage for all districts was 99.14%. That's for the real estate, business, and individual personal property. The collection percentage for the county was 99.09%. Yes, that is one of the lowest collection rates that we've had in a number of years. But I'm going to justify some of that by saying, due to the growth in the county, our levy was 19% higher this year than last year, and we collected over $21 million more than we did in last year. So our percentages are lower, but we had more to levy on and we collected more. I hope that justifies it. The 2023, I'm going to go down the highlights and then I'll go back and go over more details. The 2023 delinquent report, the delinquent taxes is $1,149,786.17. The total delinquent taxes for all years is $2,768,557. Now, this amount includes $71,542.72 due to bankruptcies. That's for all years. And we have a special this year, an additional $122,205.19 is uncollectible due to a court-appointed receivership. That is not bankruptcy, but we still cannot do any type of enforced collections on it. There's no money to collect. The court and the receiver, we've talked with them, and there is no money left. It was a business that shut down here in the county. All the real estate taxes was paid, but this $122,205 is on the personal property. So it's uncollectible. The registered motor vehicles, which is paid at the time of the renewal, that's at 99.4%. The state average, and the state has not updated this since 2019-20, but the average collection rate across the state is 99.10%. In Randolph County, by resolution, we still offer a 2% discount if taxes is paid between the time the bills are mailed through August 31st. 67.9% of the county taxes is paid during that time, and the discount, that 2%, equals $1,819,981.11. We also have resolution that we do not mail a bill for any amount less than $3.50. Those bills are released. The amount released this year was $6,202.17. That's basically a little over 3,000 bills with an average amount of $2.02. These are for might be older equipment, homemade trailers, that sort of thing, that an individual doesn't have anything else for us to tack it onto another bill to where we don't lose that amount. During 2023-24, we mailed 103,248 tax bills, and property taxes was paid on 156,566 registered motor vehicles at the time the tax was renewed. We put a total of 45 properties was posted for tax foreclosures, but we actually only sold 9, and the remainings were paid before their sale dates. So we are working hard on getting some of these older tax bills paid. And I think property owners are realizing that. But for the overall settlement, did all those numbers are not? Oh, there it goes. Okay, the net levy for this year was $133,937,336. We collected 99.14% of that. I've gone over the ending receivables for all years is $2,768,557,000. If you move down toward the bottom of those other fees collected, that is late fees, dog fees, city tax, the garnishments fees of $60, and the certified letters and legal fees. If you flip over to the round code, if you can see that our overall collection percentage has dropped over the years. This year, I don't understand exactly why it's dropped. We have worked very hard. We've had a full staff this year working on wage garnishments, bank attachments, but I think people have had other priorities with the inflation. They're maybe spending their money. They prioritized other things above paying property tax. But we are working hard and steady on trying to collect what we can. The delinquent list is broken down by real estate is $686,564.91. The business personal property delinquent taxes is $223,797.96, which 54% of that is the $122,205 from that closed business. So that represents 54% of that. Excuse me. The individual personal property is $239,423.30. Out of that, $95,855.69 is in delinquent gap bills. That's 40% of the individual personal property is that gap bill. A gap bill is for the time between a tag expires on a vehicle till it's renewed. It is hard to get people to understand they have not paid that taxes. They have let that tag expired, and we are to bill for the difference between a month, 2 months. It can be 2 years. The vehicle set idle in their driveway, and something was wrong with it. The tag expired and they waited 2 years before they renewed the tag. That's a 2-year gap bill, a 24-month gap bill. People just don't like paying those. They don't understand it. They said they've already paid the taxes. They don't. And I think that's the reason there's nothing in the statute that says a county has to bill these gap bills. And there are some counties across the state have opted not to bill for these gap bills because they are so hard to collect. At a user conference this spring, David Baker, that's now on staff with the County Commissioners Association, was the director of the ad valorem division of DOR when these gap bills was created with the tag and tax. He is now thinking about going back to DOR to rethink these gap bills because he's hearing from so many counties about how hard it is to collect these gap bills. And the average bill, I averaged it this afternoon, there's over 1,800 tax bills. Now this is just for 2023, with the average bill of $52. We don't like to try to do a wage garnishment for that because a wage garnishment is $60. So we're adding a $60 fee to a $50 bill or less, and that is not very popular. If we add it to or do a bank attachment, it's a $60 fee plus the bank is going to charge that taxpayer a $100 or $125 fee for us sending them that bank. So doing just an individual gap bill, we don't do. If we can add it on to other bills they owe, we do. But those gap bills are a pain. Let's just say it the way it is. And I think that is about it. I've covered it, all the minimum bills, and then but I think that's about it. But the bottom line is we collected 99.14%, or $132,787,550. Any questions?
It's probably on here somewhere. So what's the total amount in Randolph County that we collected, let's say this year, from personal property taxes?
Just personal. I don't have it. I can tell you what's not been paid, but I don't have it.
Yeah, I saw the length
I
list
don't
that
have
breaks
that
out
with me, but
personal.
I could get that to you, Commissioner Kidd.
That'd be great, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So that gap bill issue, so, I mean, are you saying a lot of counties and even the states looking at that like we're spending more money chasing that than we are collecting?
That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like it, or it affects their bottom line. It affects their collection rate, so they don't want to include it because it looks bad on the
Yeah.
collector because it affects their collection rate.
Well, I mean, just hearing you talk about it, the last few years, I mean, I think it's something, Randolph County ought to consider, is, we spending, a dime chasing a nickel. Is that, I don't know.
But, I mean, it is, if you look at it though, there is a lapse in there in between. They do still own that vehicle.
Yeah,
They
I'm not
own
saying
that
they don't
yeah,
own the vehicle.
so it's
I mean,
where-
I've paid you gap tax
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
more than once.
Yeah,
I mean, so,
yeah.
but,
I've got one sitting in my driveway right now that was due in May, but it's not running, so, yeah, I'll have a gap bill.
Well, from my standpoint, and seeing a lot of municipalities over my time, 99.14% is excellent.
Thank you.
Because I've seen towns and even counties in the 80s of
Well,
collection, so.
we pride ourselves in having, working hard at collecting, and the staff does a very good job. And truthfully, it was just hard this year. And the amazing thing, you stop and think about, I did the numbers on that. When you think the folks on the fixed income, the elderly exclusions, they are a lower percentage of the delinquent taxes. It's not those on the, and people are working on it. They're making payments. The wage garnishments is 10%, but if you've got a $1,500 tax bill and you're paying $100 a month or $75 a month, it's taking you a while to get it paid.
These were the taxes after a reval also.
Yes. And again, that was, some people saw a substantial increase. The county went revenue neutral, and our county's taxes stayed not equal, but it didn't increase
Generated-
like some.
Generated the same amount of money as
Yes.
if we didn't have it.
Yes. But with some of the municipalities, and also the fire district's not changing, that changed the amount of some folks had. And when they were making payments, it affected their payments. But then also folks that were, we got blamed a whole lot for people's escrow accounts going up. But when you started talking to them and looking at their taxes, it wasn't just their property taxes that might change. Their homeowners insurance went up, or this
Oh,
was
yeah.
so,
Take mine
but the
today.
tax department or the taxes got blamed for their $100, $200 a month increase, but that wasn't necessarily the case.
Other questions, comments?
I just had one quick question. I've always wanted to ask this, and I always forget to ask it. So on there's always have that line item in there for the advertising thing, and so I'm guessing that advertising fee is that big thing that's in a
Yes,
news
sir.
publication
That is,
once a year,
yes,
that, whatever.
it's we put a $5 fee for the advertisement. That is.
To the taxpayer?
To the taxpayer.
So each taxpayer that's listed on there?
Each property.
Each property.
That is advertised for real estate only, because according to the statute, that is the first step in foreclosure, is having to be advertised in the newspaper. So that's the first
It's a
step.
mandatory step?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The mandatory step is being advertised. There has been legislation out there to maybe not have to publish it in the newspaper, but put it on your website. That has only happened. Guilford County got special legislation to get that done, but it has not passed statewide.
Yeah, as old as I am, it seems kind of like an antiquated thing. I mean, and I think most people agree. Really, we don't have a newspaper around here anymore, that
Well, it
has much
says-
circulation,
yeah,
so.
It says with the largest
Circulation,
circulation,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that,
I know there's language for it, but I
that gets
mean,
a little hard on it too.
I mean,
But,
who reads the newspaper today?
But it does say advertisement is the first step. And a lot of folks, they are calling, when you gonna put my name in the paper? And they want to get in and pay it the day before it goes to newspaper. So
There's some motivation there.
there's motivation, and for some folks, that's their payment date, not September 1st or January the 5th, but the day before it goes to newspaper.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, if I could, just a second. One of your pages here, I don't know what page it is. anyway.
Baxter.
Talk in the mic. There you go. On your annual settlement report, the last line, and I want to ask this for educational purposes more than anything, is
Mine or yours?
no, public. The last line says, a total of 55 properties were posted for sale, but only 9 were sold. The remaining were paid before their sale date. I don't know that a lot of general public understands the sale possibilities of property that have not been paid. Could you kind of describe that a
Well,
little bit for
most
the
of
general
these
public?
properties, it takes a lot of research. Takes a lot of time and research before we will actually put one of these properties up for foreclosure sale, because of the time it takes for the paralegal to research it. And typically, these properties have got several years back taxes on it before we take that step. Because, well, just from the time the paralegal starts the process through her legal steps, it can take 18 months to 24 months before she has gone through all the steps to actually put the property up for sale. So that can add another year's taxes to it. But a lot of what goes to a foreclosure sale is heir properties where the family, there's no heirs left to pay it, or the heirs are squabbling and they're not going to pay it, and that sort of thing.
But when you sell it, and you see this every now and then, sold at the courthouse steps, correct?
Yes.
Now,
And it's turned over to the sheriff's department, and then they add fees for the, but it's sold by the sheriff's department. And the only thing the county gets is the amount of taxes owed. All the rest of, if it sells for more, then it goes to clerk of court for somebody to step up to claim that money. But the county does not keep any overage. It's only, we're only selling it for the taxes, the tax amount.
but if somebody doesn't buy it,
And then it becomes property of the county, and Amy don't like that. So, if we think that there's a property that might have some type of problems or become a liability for the county, we're very cautious about putting that on a foreclosure list.
Good questions. Anything else? Okay, Ms. Hill. You are hereby authorized, empowered, and commanded to collect the taxes set forth in the tax records filed in the office of the county assessor and in the tax records herewith delivered to you, in the amounts and from the taxpayers likewise therein set forth. Such taxes are hereby declared to be a first lien upon all real property of the respective taxpayers in the county of Randolph, and this order shall be a full and sufficient authority to direct, require, and enable you to levy on and sell any real or personal property of such taxpayers for and on account thereof in accordance with the law. I have a motion to so charge.
I'll make the motion to so charge.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And I will.
You're
Thank you.
charged. Okay. All right. Next item is adoption of the interlocal agreements. Tanya?
All right, good evening, Commissioners. This one actually shouldn't be too involved for you. What you're looking at tonight is a resolution. This is not an interlocal, this is just a resolution for us to begin to draft and pull together an interlocal agreement with the City of Asheboro. This is a watershed issue. It's just a resolution that in many other jurisdictions in the county, we've made agreements, interlocal agreements, like I said, with all the rest that would or should they need some portion of our watershed allocation in the multiple watersheds we have, that they can come back to the county and ask for part of that. So it's not a blanket approval, even when the interlocal is done. It is a case by case, but it enables us to get into some discussions about a local agreement so that if, should they need something, they could come back to us and ask for that. So you can see City of Asheboro has already approved a resolution, and like I said, this was initiated by the city. We had discussions several years ago, and at that time, that was not something they're interested in, but they have come back to us now, and they are interested in part of this allocation. So tonight, we just have a resolution for your approval to say that you're okay with all of us beginning that interlocal agreement that should look very similar to the agreements that we've approved in the past.
I was a little surprised with the biggest city in the county, we didn't have one.
Me too.
We did that with the Sealy plant in Archdale 25 years ago.
In the 90s, we started doing these. I think Trinity, we finished in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, Sealy couldn't build their office up, their plant up there without mitigating some of the wetlands.
Mm-hmm. Any
Questions?
Yes.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve.
Do Do I have a second? Discussion? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And it's approved. Thank you, Tanya. Donovan, there he is.
He's been itching to come up.
I know, I got ahead of myself a minute ago. I was about ready to knock Tanya down. I think this is my 16th year asking you for asking you for new ambulances. And this year I have a little bit of good news, but pursuant to General Statute 143-129, subsections E and 3, authorizes the county to participate in competitive group purchasing programs. I'm requesting your approval to purchase two 2024 Type 1 Ford 450 4x4 Medics ambulances through the SAVIC buying group contract pricing via the competitive bidding process. This year we looked at these four different competitive bidding processes, which each one has multiple vendors apply. This year, SAVIC had the best price, which is going to save us about $115,000 from what we paid last year. They are different ambulances than what we've purchased in the past as far as the box, the patient compartment, but we think it'll work fine. So compared to the other contracts, we found that SAVIC offers the cheapest pricing, and again, it's $115,656 less than what we spent last year. So after adding the patient compartment and specialty equipment, the most cost-effective price that we could find through this contract is for $325,000 each from First Class Emergency Vehicles out of Monroe, North Carolina. Funds are already allocated in my budget, and First Class is an authorized dealer for the SAVIC contract 2020-04. That contract expires in September of 2025. So my request is the board approve this purchase for the two Type 1 Fords for $650,000. The first time I asked for ambulances as director, they were $123,000 each.
All right.
That's 16 years. So here we are. That is my request. Happy to answer any questions.
Are these diesel? I know.
They are diesel.
Okay,
Yes,
so-
we were able to get diesel, and we think we'll get them before the end of the year.
Awesome.
Wow.
Which, yeah, this new company, we're hopeful. I'm not guaranteeing it, but
Have we got the others yet?
oh no. No. Still waiting on 2 diesel and 2 gas.
They're Fords too, aren't they?
Yes. I think the gas are Chevy, because at the time that's all we could order.
Pretty good.
Mhm.
Now, remind me where they were coming from,
Uh,
the ones we don't have yet.
they're in North Carolina.
West Jefferson.
West Jefferson for 2 of them, and Precision, where? Asheville
Asheville.
for the other 2. And these are in Monroe.
We can just walk down there and pick them up.
And the money is included in the budget we just adopted?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thanks to Will. I saved you
Further
some money there.
discussion? Questions? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the purchase of two 2024 Type 1 Ford F-450 4x4 Medics ambulances from First Class Emergency Vehicles for the total amount of $650,000 under the SAVIC Buying Group Contract 2020-04.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. And
Thank you. I'm
Get
going
'em
back
here.
to the office. See y'all later.
all right. Next item is the reclassification plan. Jill?
No,
I'm sorry,
it's Tara this
Tara.
time.
Skip
There-
position reclassification.
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening.
Thank y'all for the opportunity this evening to present. And before I get into my position reclassification position request, I just want to say I'm not asking for any money. So with that, I will get started. I'm here this evening to present a request for the addition of 1 new position and the reclassification of a few others, 10 other total reclassification requests. And I'm making these requests to ensure that we are able to meet the needs of the programs we provide, be more efficient in our work, and to ensure that the work we perform by our team accurately aligns with the appropriate position specifications. I'll start off, I'm going to break it into two sections. One is the case management program area. The other is other, sorry y'all. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm going to break it into two categories, the care management program, and then I'm going to cover those and then move into the other health department services positions. So for the care management program, I am asking for the creation of one new position. It's a social worker 2 position to assist that program with having the needed capacity to complete their work. Again, this position creation will not require any county funding because this program is funded by Medicaid. That program does case management for high-risk pregnant women and high-risk children aged 0 to 5. And with Medicaid expansion, they have more to do than they have staff to get the work done. So by adding an additional social worker 2, that will help them have that capacity to complete their work. Also for the care management program, I am requesting the reclassification of 2 existing positions, and these are 2 positions that currently have folks in them. The first one is to reclassify one social worker 2 position to a social worker 3 position. That position, we're asking for it to be a social worker 3. The individual in that position would become a social worker lead for that program. This person could help the supervisor with entering referrals, helping assign those referrals to care managers, and those kinds of things, and be more involved in the community. For that same program area, care management, I'm requesting to reclassify one processing assistant 3 position to a foreign language interpreter 1. This person in this position, she provides a lot of support for those program areas, and in her time in that position, she's been doing a lot of translations. And we believe that she is doing at least 55% of her work as translation, which would categorize her as a foreign language interpreter 1. Any questions about that program area? Again, this program area does not need any county money at all. This is all Medicaid money. All right. So to the other positions that are in other health department program areas. And I'll talk about the funding for all of these when I conclude covering each of these positions. So we're asking to reclassify one public health nurse 2 position to a public health nurse 3 position. The individual in this position, she's currently, of course, a public health nurse 2, but she is working on her enhanced role nurse training. And once she wraps up that training later this summer, this fall, she will have capability of doing more duties than she can do just as without having that training under her belt. So that's the justification for that position. And we've reclassified other individuals previously that have taken that training. We've reclassified them to PHN3s. So that's a health department clinic area. These next 2 positions are health department clinic area. This request is to reclassify 2 processing assistant positions to processing assistant 4 positions. These 2 team members, if you come into the health department, they're going to be 2 of the first people that you might encounter. What we are trying to do, we try to do this as often as we can. We try to cross-train folks. So we're going to retrain these folks. They're going to be able to do check-in, registration, check-out, handle money. So with the cross-training, that will better align them with a processing assistant 4 position. The next reclassification request is for the 2 processing assistant 4 positions at environmental health. From processing assistant 4s to administrative assistant 1 positions. The 2 team members in these roles, if you've been in environmental health at all, these ladies have to know a lot of information about both the food and lodging program and the on-site wastewater program. They have to be able to inform folks that are coming in or calling in saying, hey, I want to fill out this application, whether it's for food service or for a septic system. There's a lot of information. They've got to know setbacks. They've got to know all the ins and outs. A lot of what they do, they know a lot about what the EHS team members do. So we have looked at these positions, and we think that they are more closely aligned with an administrative assistant one. The next position I'm asking to reclassify is to reclassify the Public Health Educator 2 position. That's a supervisory position over our health promotion program to a Public Health Educator 3 position. Reclassifying that to a Public Health Educator 3 position better aligns with that job description or position specification, because that position is actually overseeing our health promotion program area. They're making sure that things that are supposed to be happening in health education are getting done. If this position, if you all approve this position, the Health Educator 3, it will need to be added to the classification plan, and I believe Jill has that as part of her presentation. And then lastly, we're requesting to reclassify our 2 Health Educator 1 positions to Health Educator 2 positions. The justification for this is when you look at a Health Educator 1 job specification, that specification indicates that the work that these folks are doing is it's a beginning level of work. These folks have 4 years of experience. They're no longer beginning level work. As a beginner, they're assisting with planning. They're assisting with implementation. Now in their roles, they're actually carrying out the work. They're doing the planning. They're doing the implementation. So we feel that it's best for them to be recategorized as Health Educator 2s. So those last 8 positions that I've requested for reclassification, the way we would like to cover the funds for those is right now we have an existing processing assistant 3 position that is county funded that is not filled right now. We feel that it would be best to take the funds from that position, abolish that position, and redistribute those funds to reclassify those positions. That existing position of that processing assistant 3 position right now is funded at nearly $53,000. To do the reclassifications that I'm requesting, it's going to cost just over $36,000. So I'm happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Questions?
I think it reflects, good thinking. I would like to make one comment. It's interesting that I just recently heard a piece on the news about using our employees that have language skills as interpreters when that's not the job that we hired them to do. And how those people are leaving those jobs and going to others where they're valued for the work that they do. So to me, it makes sense that if we reclassify and have that foreign language interpreter as opposed to using this employee in a way they were not hired. So I think that shows a respect for the position, for the employee, and an appreciation for the use of those skills.
Thank you.
Comments? More comments? Questions? It's a very thorough report.
Thank you. I had hoped to have that in time for budget, but it took a minute to get all that together.
All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make that motion to establish one new Medicaid-funded position and reclassify the other positions as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion or questions? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those no. And they're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Jill, now you're up.
Good evening, Chairman Fry and members of the board. I, too, was alive in 1976. I was 10 years old, so along with the nation, I have a big birthday coming up in 2026. So tonight, I'm coming before you all to request approval of the 24-25 Randolph County Classification Plan to be effective July 1st, 2024. Your approval is required pursuant to the Randolph County Employee Policies and Procedures Manual and in order for us to be in compliance with the Office of State Human Resources requirements for filing our pay plan under General Statute 126, known as the State Human Resources Act. Our classification plan consists of 5 parts, which you all have is the general employees, law enforcement, medical, emergency services, and tourism development authority. As Tara Aker just mentioned, Public Health has requested to reclassify a Public Health Educator 2 position from grade 117 to Public Health Educator 3 at grade 119, effective July 1st. And in anticipation of this request being approved, which it just was, that classification is added to the pay plan this evening. Another classification that is being added to the pay plan is the Environmental Health Associate classification, and that is in the series of Environmental Health Specialist. It's a new classification that was approved by the General Assembly in 2023. We don't currently have any staff in that position, but it's there in case we should need it. There are pretty stringent requirements for Environmental Health Specialist. There's a degree, and then you don't have the specific environmental health degree. You know, you have to have 30 hours in the biological or chemistry, different classes. So this new degree, or this new classification, I believe it allows you to have a degree and then get 5 years of on-the-job training without specific coursework. So before you have the classifications that are being added and removed to the classification plan. These are changes that have really been made all throughout the year, and we're just summarizing them now to the plan. And also changes to the classification plan are the salary adjustments with the 3% cost of living increase. And in a tight fiscal year, we again thank you for that 3% cost of living adjustment, and I'm glad to add that to our pay plan this year. So tonight I'm requesting the board's approval of the 2024-2025 Randolph County Classification Plan effective July 1, 2024.
Questions, Jill? Have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the classification plan for 2024-25 as presented.
Have a second?
Second.
Further discussion or questions? Those in favor of the motion to approve, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your help during the budget, Jill.
Thank you.
Request to opt into the Kroger opioid settlement. Amy.
Good evening. As part of the national opioid litigation that Randolph County is a part of, an agreement was reached with Kroger that will require the grocery chain to pay $1.37 billion to participating state and local governments. As a part of that settlement, approximately the maximum that will come to North Carolina is approximately $40 million between 2024 and 2034. In April and May of this year, North Carolina and 29 other states agreed to participate in this settlement. It is only available to states where Kroger operates under its own name or the name of a subsidiary. Kroger's agreed to move to the next stage of the settlement process, and this is the point where local governments in North Carolina and other participating states are invited to join in the settlement. To maximize the funds available to North Carolina and to the other local governments in North Carolina, all 100 counties and all municipalities with a population of 30,000 or more would need to join into this settlement by August 12th of this year. Preliminary estimates from the Attorney General's office have indicated that Randolph County could receive up to $520,000 if we join in this.
Over what time?
Over a 10-year period. In addition to signing on to the settlement, we would be asked to sign on to the second supplemental agreement for additional funds, which governs the allocation, use, and reporting of funds from the Kroger settlement. It's essentially adding Kroger to the memorandum of agreement or the memorandum of understanding that the county had to enter into for all the other opioid funds. So it's essentially going to place, unless they make any other changes to it, and I
I haven't heard any rumblings of that. It would essentially put the same restrictions on the use of opioid funds from the Kroger settlement as are already on the other opioid funds that the county receives. So, if you would like to opt into this and join in that settlement, you can adopt the resolution in your packet, which would approve the county joining in the settlement and authorize the county manager to sign the SAAF2 agreement when it becomes available. And I'll answer anything I can answer, but I think I've pretty much told you what I know about it.
Amy, before, there was a big discussions about attorney fees, and et cetera, and Mike Fox, he's not involved in this for us.
I think that the SAAF2 makes provision for the local attorneys to be paid. So I don't think there is we had that, there was a kind of a disagreement and urging to some counties not to sign earlier when those were up in the air, but I think they've reached agreements as to those now.
Well, I think some of the big ruckus came from some of the states where these entities were located. They thought they ought to get a bigger chunk of the money,
Right,
too.
I think you're right, but I think the provisions that are in the MOA and in this supplemental agreement provide for the payment of any local attorneys involved.
And that's factored in the numbers that you've got
I
in
think
this,
so.
in this document.
And like I said, these numbers are just preliminary estimates. I don't have exact numbers
Right.
at this time.
Right. Okay. Any other questions?
Who did you say would sign?
I was just asking you to authorize the county manager to sign it.
I have a quick question. You probably anticipated this, so I think you kind of already answered it. But, but I think you clarified it, but just to make it clear for everybody, like Maxton said, for educational purposes for everybody, these dollars kind of go into that whole opioid pile of money that we already have received from other settlements. And all the same rules apply as far as distributing it to the community.
That is the way that SAAF2 is written right now, and I think that's probably part of the requirements of the settlement itself. But yes, that is correct.
So if we,
The same requirements.
if we opt in, this possible number, whatever the number is, goes in that same thing, all the same rules apply, and we can and cannot do the things that we've already been kind of directed by
Correct.
everybody. But, okay, all right. Well, I don't know what the pleasure of the board is. I don't know when you're asked that, but I have no desire to accept this settlement money at all if I'm gonna have those rules applied to me, because we can't really apply it to anything in the community that changes lives and frees people from this problem. We just keep contributing to the problem, so I don't want the 520 or any of it. So I'll even make a motion to opt out of the Kroger settlement.
Is there a second to the motion? Have a second? Hearing none, do I have a second, have a motion, have another motion?
I'll make the motion to opt in for the Kroger's opioid settlement and allow the chairman, the county manager, to sign all necessary documentation.
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion.
Well, I
And
do
I-
have further discussion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make the statement that we had one of our fire chiefs the other day, per the comment that nothing's being done. We had one of our fire chiefs the other day to call and to say that he didn't know what we were doing here, but it was having an impact, that since 2018, as many as 8 overdose calls a day were coming in, and now there were 5 a week. So that's a huge improvement, and that's across all the fire departments. And in the time period from April 2023 to March of 2024, there had only been 1 fentanyl-positive overdose death with the fire departments. So something is helping somewhere, according to this fire chief.
And
Maybe somebody found Jesus.
I concur with some of Commissioner Kidd's comments. I think, though, they're learning better ways to move around some of those restrictions or limitations in order to get some better use. Now, it's not the way we prefer it be done, but it is being utilized to some better outcomes. My problem is we're not acting fast enough in using the money. We allocated money a year ago. That's not to you.
I recognize that. I
So,
recognize that. Yes, sir.
And we haven't allocated any more money, and the issues are happening every day in this county. That's my problem with it, but the money's going to go somewhere. And we've got 10 years to figure out how to use it. But I think we need to speed that process up. Further comments, questions?
It's $500,000. I hate to give back $500,000 when we can, use it for something.
Because people in Randolph County are victims of what took place. My sister-in-law was one of them. Had over 2,000 OxyContin pills in her house, sent to her routinely every month. All right, other questions, comments? Those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, fire department, you got the.
I do,
Yeah, the next
and
one.
Eric Beard is here as well,
Yes.
if you have any specific questions too. So several years ago, when we started updating the fire department contracts, we formed a committee of fire chiefs and we updated the contracts. And we made it a goal to do that every 5 years, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, we're on track, that things are working the way we need them to be working. And I know it probably does not seem like 5 years since the last time we did it, but it is. So we had another committee. The committee was comprised of myself, Eric Beard, and then fire chiefs chosen by the Fire Chiefs Association. And that was, actually representatives chosen by the Fire Chiefs Association. And that was Fire Chief Cameron Shepard, West Side Assistant Fire Chief James Lammons, and Randleman Fire Chief Brian Causey. And we reviewed the contract. We met several times, made the changes that you see in your packet, some of which were required by law. State law changed and now requires background checks for all firemen and volunteers. We had amended our previous contract to add that. We put it in the body of the new contract. We also needed to reflect that we removed the 15-cent cap. That needed to be in this contract. And then we made some other changes suggested mostly by the firemen that were on our committee. This was presented to the entire Fire Chiefs Association and was recommended unanimously for approval. And so I'm just standing before you today to ask that you approve the new contract so that I can get it out and get it signed. And if you have any questions about any of the specific changes, Eric and I are both here and can try to address those.
I would just add to that, for pretty much the past year, especially with reval and the fire tax discussions that took place in last year's budget process, the 23-24 budget process, some of us have been attending the monthly fire chiefs meetings. These changes were brought up by Brian Causey, who now is with the Randleman Department, on what was being recommended, the changes being made to the contract, and there was no opposition among those fire chiefs towards the recommendation. So I just feel like that's been vetted beyond us to those that are affected, and I know Eric has been a big part of that process and keeping everybody informed and what it does and doesn't do. But with the comment, I have a question. If with some of the new language, this in effect, and because the fire chief, they have agreed, this sort of puts them on notice of the changes and what is required of them going forward.
Correct.
In particular, Eric, as you would refer to the rate changes, the rate reduction requirement. They've been put on notice, when these are signed, they've been put on notice that that's now the new rule.
Yes, and we did recognize that, that's not necessarily something that happens overnight.
Right.
So there is a grace period built into this contract as well.
Other comments? I know some of y'all attended. I attended quite a few, especially last year. Any other comments, questions? All right.
I would just like to say thank you to the members of the fire departments that worked on this with Eric and Amy. So.
Do I have a motion to approve the new fire department contracts?
I'll make the motion to approve the new fire department contracts as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Kidd, I heard.
Either one of us.
Either one down here. Further discussion? Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And they're approved. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Amy. Appreciate it. All right, the I-74 Industrial Center site development. Will?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you recall, several years ago, we started working with the EDC to put a business park together at the I-74. We knew at the time that there needed to be some road work to get the right access there. This is the location where Ross Stores is going to put the distribution center. Apparently, it's going to cost about $2.9 million to make all the road improvements necessary for that site. That's, the company's going to be picking that up, but they also would like to have some financial assistance where it's possible. So the board's already made the request to pull down the contingency funds, which will help, and we'll deal with that later on if that's approved. Tonight, we're going to recognize the fact that EDC has helped us get a Golden Leaf grant for $400,000, which will be passing through the county and help to reimburse some of those costs for the company. So it's about $400,000. So the actions tonight would be to accept the grant, authorize me to do all the Golden Leaf paperwork, and there's much to that, and then
Pass it along.
and then a budget amendment to do that.
All right. This is another step in a process been going on for getting close to a year and a half now. All right, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment for JK 88, which is now known as the Ross Stores Distribution Center?
I'll make the motion to accept the grant and to designate William Massey as the authorized representative for all documentation and to approve the associated project amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Who do I hear?
Either one.
Give it
I
to
want
the
to
other
give this
one.
one to Maxton.
Congratulations to Hopes District.
Okay. Further discussion? Thank you, Will. Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no, and it's approved. All right. We're going to have the county manager's update, and if any commissioner has anything, and we have about 2 minutes of business with our Eastern Randolph Water Sewer District. I know we like to talk to some of you and speak and shake hands or whatever, so if you, when we adjourn this meeting, if you please just stay seated for about 2 minutes, and we'll wrap up all of this business and we'll get ready to go home. Okay? All right. Ed, county manager.
No updates. Expediency.
Commissioners, and I know there's a lot going on with commissioners. This is meeting time for our national conference and then the state conference in Forsyth County in August. The Trillium issues going
Mr.
on. David, you have some more there, but
I might
a lot
want
of it going on.
just touch on that just a little bit. The legislature, before they left town on Thursday last week, a week ago, Thursday, passed a bill kind of at the last second, basically that dissolves the Trillium Board and allows the secretary to, within 14 days of the bill becoming law, which I think the governor's going to let become law without vetoing it. I think it's 4.5 hours before that time runs out. But what it does is allow the secretary to have the CEO of Trillium come up with an alternative board structure. How it affects the county is that the usually when there's a new catchment area, new board, or adopting a new structure, the counties have to approve a resolution to approve that board structure. The law waives that in this case, just for Trillium. So what it amounts to is that I don't necessarily particularly care that the secretary is taking some of the authority away from the county, but because that board has been so dysfunctional, I think it's necessary for him to step in and to appoint a new board. So, and it'll be based on section 122C-118.1, which lists out a number of requirements for board members. So that's going to be probably ongoing for the next month or so as we look at Trillium and get that straightened out. So it never stops.
Never stops. And when we get through this, there'll be more.
There'll be something else, yeah.
And on a lighter note, if you need something different for your mental health, maybe you'd like to travel, I'd just like to say that Krista over at the Register of Deeds prepares a report for us every month about the fees that have been collected. And I noticed that the numbers for passports are creeping up. So I called her and talked to her about that. And if you did not know it, you can do your passport application there. They even will go so far as to make the picture that goes with it, and they will help you get that done and then get that sent off for you. So it's a one-stop shop, and if you want to do that, you may go in anytime, or you may call and schedule an appointment if you want to be seen at a certain time. So I just wanted to get that plug in. She said it had been very popular. A lot of people had taken advantage of it. So I'd like to think somebody's getting to travel, even if I'm not.
All right, any other commissioner comments? Okay, any other business to come before this board? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Will we adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, and now we'll call to order the Eastern Randolph Water and Sewer District agenda. First item is to approve the minutes from our April 1st meeting. Those have been handed out. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And they're approved. The second item is a request from the city of Ashboro that City Council member Eddie Burks be added as their municipal appointment to the Eastern Randolph Water Sewer District. Do I have a motion to approve Eddie?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner McDowell by the second. Further discussion. Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those no. It's approved. Any other business before this board? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and thank those who are watching at home. Good job, Bill.
Man, it's really early, Zeb.
So Amy had predicted 7:30.
What time is it?